Join me. Imagine what we could accomplish together.
I'll join the team, be an X-Man.
We are the future, Charles, not them.
What do you think, I'm stupid?
You and I are not so different.
You can't keep denying what you are, man.
Because I'm the best there is at what I do.
You, me, we're exceptional. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. I chose my path, you chose the way of the hero.
Plague, war, famine, morality doesn't even enter into it.
I've heard these arguments before.
Think about it, hero!
You are watching
Move, Throw.
Marvel Crisis Protocol Podcast.
I am Charles, also known as Omnis.
I am Danny, also known as Irish Smart Like Rock.
Danny, I don't know why this week, but it felt like a long week. I think I was on a bit of vacation time, and so I had some days off. I just like lots of gaming, lots of hobby time. Yeah. But it feels like we recorded on my last day of work, and then I had some days off. So it just feels like it's been a while. Good. I miss you, is what I'm saying. I miss you.
Yes, it does. Has like been in a while. Our days moved around a little bit too, so I think it's like off schedule. So some longer than we're used to being apart from each other.
Yeah, we were recording on Mondays for a while, and I just found that I feel busier and crazier on Monday and more tired, and that's where I was kind of we switched to Wednesdays a couple of different times. I was like, maybe should we just do Wednesdays?
We just do it all the time. Also,
you've got the camping and stuff too, right? And so that can be very busy sometimes.
Yes. Coming back on Mondays can be hard sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm glad that works out for both of us. But well, how have things been for you? Any hobby projects or what's going on in Dannyverse?
I've been playing a lot of board games. Got Root recently. Got the Kickstarter finally from
nice.
expansion and stuff. So a lot of fun. I played some board games. You can Escape the Dark Castle, which is a classic. Some Heat, cool. Pedal to the Metal, which is a very very fun deck building resource management game about racing cars. So you run around and have some fun. So a lot of fun doing that stuff. In terms of hobbying, model stuff, you've just been rearranging the house. So I haven't had time to do airbrush stuff recently. But I need to. This is this whole conversation about this discussion, right? What models do I want to paint now? Really thinking deep about these scenarios. But then new models, so who knows?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I hit a point with my time off where I didn't have any more games scheduled. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to knock out some of the random hobby projects that I accumulate, right? Where I'll work on a table and then it'll basically be done. Here's an example of one I haven't gotten to yet. My Apocalypse table, my Apocalypse terrain, all looks good. I need to go back and add lights to stuff. It needs a glow on some of the terrain.
Some LEDs,
and that's just a little project that I need to go back and do. So that's just one example. But I had a bunch of 3D printed rocks that I wanted to paint for terrain and a bunch of stuff like that. And I just started knocking a bunch of those out one by one. I'm oh my God, does it feel good to just knock a whole bunch of things off your hobby list?
It is always good to get a batch of things done. My the thing at the top of my hobby list that I keep saying me to do that I keep forgetting to do is assemble more terrain. It's I have enough for a table, but every once in a while I want to change up the theme. And I'm I have another cosmic pack, I have another city pack. They just go through a couple other things. I think I have some other random ones. I should probably sit down and just assemble the rest of these. But it's getting motivated to do terrain is hard.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm growing into a terrain guy where painting. There's this threshold where I'm finding that I'm enjoying working on a fair amount of terrain more than I like working on a lot of different models. There's still some models where I super love painting them, and they're just a joy to work on. I was loving working on Ironmonger. That guy was just so cool. But
just a beast.
I find that the terrain projects and I've been playing around a little bit with sculpting with clay and I feel like I might be growing into the terrain guy, which I never thought I would be.
You're becoming full hobbyist now, right? It's not even about the toys you play with. It's about the ambiance, right?
Yeah, what kind of uniqueness can I create? But yeah, it just felt good knocking a bunch of that stuff off. And honestly, this might be like as we continue the old guy conversations. Today, I had just like a couple of different boxes that I really wanted to like go through and figure out like what to throw away and like, but it's just like, it's a box that's got like random sprue bits in it, random tokens, some cards, you know.
I know exactly the kind of box you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I had like 2 of them. And I basically went through and like cleaned those out today. And I was like, this is the most like old man gamer sort of project. You're like, oh, it feels good. And like, I found like,
I totally won't forget this. I put it here.
Piece of terrain, like unassembled train piece that like had fallen off a sprue. I'm like, oh man, I found that. Now I like that. The rest of that sprue is actually useful, you know, stuff like that.
I have, old Blood of Martyrs from Menoff, like the tassels when I'd broken off, and I like put it away in like a case, and the other one eventually broke off, and I remember the first one, and then eventually found the second one and was able to put the model back together after all this time because I kept remembering to put it in different places, but I couldn't remember where I would put the other one, so I'd have one but not the other one for a long time. So like that went on for like at least 2 years. So.
Yes. I have a Blightbringer on my counter, and its tail has been broken off for maybe 5 years, and I just keep like putting it back on the base. I'm like, because I've repaired it at least maybe twice. I still have it, like I haven't lost the tail yet, but I'm like, I need a long-term solution of how I'm going to attach this fucker.
There are certain models, like the weight of the model causes like the joint to just be very brittle, certain like impacts. And so it's like, if you hit the ground like at a slight angle, you will shatter to pieces. Like, yep.
Yeah, that one is more like the tail sticks out a little bit, so it's really easy to catch the spike on the end of the table, and it just snaps. And
that was like a trident or like a fancy spear. Yeah, classic, right?
Yeah, can we like my times with Namor and Loki 2 have not been great, and I.
That's why I bring him out. I'm like, please don't break. Please don't break. It's so thin.
I get them like reaching for something else, and then my arm catches the trident as I'm trying to get something behind them.
Makes you feel good inside. You know, when you break your own model, you're like, yes. Yes. At least someone else didn't do it. Because it feels even worse when someone else does it. You're like, no, it's okay. Because like they feel guilty. Even if you know it's something that happens common, you're like, yeah, you don't want to be the one to do someone else's model, right?
Yep. Well, in other What's Up with Colin news, which is like why people listen to this podcast, our bro Colin,
we should just break this in,
totally went heel in the last episode, and he went anti-Silver Sable. He spent like a half an hour convincing a co-host to not play Silver Sable. Danny, what happened to Colin? Like he literally did a heel turn on
this whole time, right? Like maybe it was like a psyop, right?
I mean, I feel like this is, you know, this was the moment where you thought like he was like the hero who's going to like take down the World Wrestling Foundation. And then all of a sudden he works for the man and is like, no, don't play Silver Sable. Like I was not expecting this twist, Danny. This was a lot. It was hard. I needed to pause it and like take a break because it was difficult to listen to.
Yes. There's a lot of models. This happens to me too, where I get excited about models and I really want to work with them. And then you sort of, it gets like this cold wash of reality at a certain point. You're like, right. This is why I don't play this model.
Yep.
This is like, yep. This is exactly the situation where it falls apart and I need you to not fall apart for me. And again, I played Sable for a while. Sable, that's why I had the whole conversation. Sable's such an interesting character where it's like, just so close, like so close.
Yeah, it definitely feels like she has some interesting places. And like also in the Muse news, I feel like Nigel has finally come around on OG Wolverine. They've been giving me shit about me disliking OG Wolverine for so long. And now Nigel's like, no characters should have this, like, can't interact with missions. And like, that's always been my problem. If OG Wolverine just didn't have that stuff, like, I'm still not sure he's better than Carnage, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, like, what ends up happening is if he ends up flipping, you're just in a situation where you're hoping Dice are going to save you, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
But after all the shit that he's given me, it feels like he's become the hero and is like, no, like this is not good enough for Wolverine. And I'm like, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying.
I'll just take a moment to say that we were always right. So just throw that out.
I will. Okay, so as I was catching, we have the new not buses, but we have the new like light rail system.
Yeah.
Right, in the Seattle area.
Oh, they've expanded for a while.
Yeah, I was using it to go to Mox and just walked past somebody in a Sam Darnold jersey. And I was like, oh my God, it would be so funny if I just started getting selfies with every person I see wearing a Sam Darnold jersey and then send them to Nigel. And be like, hey, thanks for the quarterback. Thanks for the quarterback.
I mean, it's level of dedication, one.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like thinking of the upping of the ante from this point forward, right? Because this is how like you start rivalries.
Right. But I think dude that I walked up to and I was like, hey man, I got a buddy in Minnesota who's kind of upset that they let Sam Darnold go and then he went to go win a Super Bowl. Would you mind taking a quick selfie with me so I can send it to him? I feel
he probably did a selfie back. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Seattle guys would be like, yo, yeah. But there will be karma and like something will happen and we will like lose JSN to the Vikings or something. And suddenly like these motherfuckers have JSN and Justin Jefferson. Fuck this shit. This is such bullshit. So there's a karma aspect I'm a little worried about if I go for this level of trolling.
Yes. See, man. But it's such a ripe opportunity. It's like hard to say no to it. It's like right there. It's so tempting. Yep. The ring is right there. How could you not take it? Right?
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, did you get any games in this week?
I have played some games.
Yeah. How is Asgard treating you?
I love Asgard. It is such like a big brain faction of thinking about who to play and who to assist in, right? And trolling myself. So Sif is like the conversation I have right now. And I love Enchantress. Bill is an all-star. Sif is the one where I just don't know, right? Constantly charging is good. Rerolls is good. The problem is to have both at the same time basically requires her not to do anything.
As well?
Yeah.
6/6, 4/3 invul?
There were just situations where if I basically have to not pick up anything round one because I want to be able to charge sword, or I'm like in a position where people have to come dive in. I really want her picking something up and people diving her is what I end up realizing. And it's like, we're going to have to face tank and go through. But I've had her just fail those dice, like 5 dice in rerolls, just like, and bounce off enemy Bill. Okay. And do one to Bill's like, yep. Doesn't matter. Chucked. Goodbye. I'm like, yep. That's the fight. Fight's over.
Yeah, I definitely had turns where I'm looking down at her card and I'm like seeing the whole chain of possibilities of everything that could happen. You're like, oh man, that'd be so dope. And then she just does nothing. And you're like, God damn MCP dice.
It makes me feel like I just don't know if I should double down with her. And it's like, I'm always playing Jinx. I end up putting Zima on the list. And it's like all the rerolls, all the opportunities. And then I'm like, well, I'm putting a lot of work into a model here, right? And make her do something. Is this really what I want to be doing with the list? It makes me fundamentally wonder what's going on with my list design and what am I really focusing on here?
So I will say, after our last episode, I went super into the tank, thinking about lists. And one of the things I was thinking about was, is there a world where you build an Asgard list where you actually don't plan to play a leader a good chunk of the time? All the leaders are totally solid, but just from a threat level perspective, is there a world where you build a roster and you're like, my primary plan is to play Bill, Sif or Enchantress, and Valkyrie? And just play and then have access to Odin's Blessing and Rainbow Bridge and be like, yeah, if the threat level works out and I get a leadership, great. But fucking Odin's Blessing and these great models with bonus power generation and stuff. Is there a world where that's a list?
The thing is,
you're playing
I like their five. I legitimately like their fives. Right?
Oh yeah. I'm not saying
Angela just makes me sad.
Them.
Right?
I'm not saying you don't play the leaders. Yeah. I think you still have at least one or two of the leaders in the roster, but the main plan is not, I'm trying to get Thor in here first. You're going, I want to play these guys, and like, then does a 5 fit? And if it does, you get a leadership, and if not, you don't.
The times I think about this are the times where I want to be wide because the 5 ends up. There's situations where I don't want to take Wong, essentially. And I take Wong because I want to take a 5, because the 5's. Look, he doesn't have to have Wong, but the other two do like having Wong around to do round 1 stuff and keep them like going throughout the rest of the game, right? Going the 3/4s and the 3s and just going super wide instead has been very tempting. And think about what this would look like, right? Because then just have like all the tough characters dive in and we're just picking up points. Besides the fact that I just like the 5s, I think the issue becomes, can I actually stall long enough to win the game? Because I don't know, because this goes back to list designs, like most of my characters aren't fighters. So I need to have some fun playing here if I'm going to make this work. And it can't just be like dodging damage, right? This is like where like the Thor and like the leaderships are like, I'm trying to find what is the thing they're trying to do when I'm taking a leader to counter that, essentially.
Well, it's also like, one of the things is like, Jane is a great model. When you play her, how much does your leadership actually like change the game, right? Like, did your leadership actually change like how the game went? Like, you get a couple, and obviously, like, if you have that key turn where the one reroll saves your character, or that one reroll, you know, gets the days, right? It's great, but how much impact actually is it? And like, it's a little easier to tell with like, I think obviously Thor 1 and Loki 2 have the better leaderships. This
is where the Jane problem, I think, is like, the more you turn Jane up, the crazier she gets. It's like you start stacking all the things. It's like the Shadowlands thing. Because Sif gets her margins get better the more reroll she goes. She goes from like, Master Swordsman and the Zima reroll and the leadership was like, okay, now she's back to like chopping heads off territory. And more reliably, even without Master Swordsman doing the 1 or 2 damage to get the power to do it for the next attack or doing a spender and stuff. But again, it goes back to the question of, do I want to fight? And Jane is sort of geared towards the fighting plan. And I do love Loki, and Thor is the issue here. And this is where like the list kind of comes in. And so the whole list and where the thought came in is like, okay, if I'm not taking Sif, who should I take? Well, like the 2 fun answers. Well, there's like the fun answer and who really should go on the list. The fun answer is actually taking Mind Moondragon. Right. As a straightforward. Has a charge, has 2 power. Right. Martial artist, like, comes in, does some cool stuff, like the mind trick thing. I was like, I got like a move. I was like, okay, she's like having a second enchantress, which would be pretty cute. And then there's like Shang, right? Which is like, okay, like, sure, you just put Shang back in the list and he punches and does stuff. Then I think about for a second, I was like, okay, if I take out Mighty Thor, who am I putting in? It's like, well, it's like really Mighty Thor or Loki. Like, who would make sense? Is it another 5? Is it a 4? Yeah. And then the conversation goes, okay, is it Doctor Strange? Because it gives me
which one?
OG Strange. It's Strange.
Okay.
It's not Super Strange. Yeah, I know, right?
We're going.
No. Because if you think about where we're going with this, you very easily see where this goes. It's like, well, if I just put in Doctor Strange, I just put in Shang, Valkyrie's a defender, Iron Fist already enlisted, Wong's enlisted. I just walked backwards into a defender duel.
Yes.
Is what exactly just happened in this scenario. And I realized this, I was like, how did I just walk backwards into defenders? I was like, how did that happen?
Have you
that made me think about list design and like how that works out, right? Where I somehow started one faction and worked backwards to a different faction. Right? Like, think about this for a second.
My question for you is, as you've been doing these faction hops, right? You do a faction for X amount of time. Have you done a dual affiliation in any of these?
Yes.
You kind of did with Convo, right? Convo, you did have.
You end up kind of like
you sometimes play defenders. Okay.
Yeah, and there was also, I think, it was another. I think it was with Hydra. I had a duel in there, technically with Cabal or something. Because I think I had a split in there for a weird situation. Because when I didn't want to be using, because that's what I wanted to use New Duck. That's what it was. Because New Duck was Hydra, and I was like, okay, we can use him and see what happens here once in a while. But I'm not against duels. And when I was playing Avengers and other affiliations, I do like to do duels. I'm not against the Defenders Asgard duel. I just feel like what ends up happening is I end up playing Defenders all the time.
Well, you are picking a duel that like just gives you another 5-threat leader.
Correct, and that's like the problem. But the issue I've run into in the list is the Sentinel problem. Like Bastion, just absolutely, it's the Bastion and Prime and Mega. I'm like,
what about A-Force then? Like you got Mighty Thor.
So I try not to go backwards. That's the thing where it gets me into positions sometimes.
But like A-Force could probably fuck up Sentinels.
Yes. I mean, like, that is Jen's whole job, is taking punches and punching really hard back. Like, she can punch really hard. People will forget that fact. She will clap back.
Yeah, it's the fitting in a Koye that's maybe, like, the hardest part of that. But you, like, have a lot of the other things that they would want, right? You already have Jane. You've got good stuff in there.
Yes.
I forget, is Valkyrie A-Force?
She's A-Force.
Okay. Yeah.
So like there is
been a little
a split in there, but then it's like who to kick out, who to switch around. The positives and why I think duel works weirdly is I still had like a card or two empty that I didn't really need.
Okay, yeah.
And so it's like, okay, when you usually have like a card or two and a good enough crossover, you're like, you can usually make a duel work.
Well, and A-Force doesn't need a lot of cards. Like, you want Special Delivery, and you probably want the Stalwart Determination. And, like, the rest is fine.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There is the A-Force, the A-Force Assemble, but it's like, it's just like a fun card.
I think you can live. I think you can definitely live without A-Force Assemble. Like, if you've got space for it, great. If you don't, I don't think it's a huge dealio.
And that's where I started thinking about the list. It's like, okay, who of the Thor or who of the Asgard am I? Like, what is the core here I want to keep, and then try to build and gap fill from here. And this is like the problem with the Triple E's. Is like, wait, which leader do I want here? Is it Loki, Thor, or Jane? I think this is the problem. I need to essentially dial it down to 2, right? Or just go to a duel and go from there.
Yeah, I really like the Thor 1 leadership. I like the Thor 1
I think Thor 1's boss. I like this guy.
I think Loki 2 is probably the more fun character to play, like the more interesting.
That is also,
but I don't know. I like the Thor 1 leadership a lot.
I like Jane, and she is fun, but I find that good and bad, Loki 2 is just like hilarious to play. Even when he's like, even when you're not winning, your opponent is so frustrated because of skulls that doesn't really matter. So
Getting double punished for skulls doesn't feel good.
And I just think he occupies a unique space in the meta. The problem with Loki specifically is that he doesn't like going into Sentinels because the Mystic attack into the whole Mystic defense. He starts losing power very quickly. He starts getting sad. So I didn't like that. And I'm okay with the Thor 1 matchup into that. The problem is that Thor can just just do nothing, stand around and go like, okay, goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's where I started thinking about Strange 1, because he can still push them because it's energy attack. And I was like, okay, I'm going down this road. And it's like, well, do I try to outfight them and just like go all in with Jane, right? And just all the rerolls and just try to like punch Sentinels? It's like, well, do I really think I can punch Sentinels to death? Like, what am I doing? Like, am I really committing to this?
Yeah.
That's sort of like the list design right now.
Well, I got to try out Sentinels. And it so functionally what I was trying to do, I felt like it was working. And there was plenty of times where I do feel like the decreased power economy for the opponent was like perfectly working out, and they like wouldn't have the power for a defensive ability. There was a number of times where I felt like they were very tight on power, and definitely weren't able to do all of the things that they wanted to do. And so in that sense, like, I think everything about the list, like, was fundamentally working. But I'm going to use an example. I played a game against Pat, super awesome dude. Love Pat. He's in the Discord. He won the LVO qualifier locally, I think 2 years ago.
Nice.
With Thor 2, I believe. But we played a game, and I won the game. But I don't think that I don't think that I outplayed him, is the thing. Like, it was just, and like, I don't even think I've made like any like crazy cool plays. I moved people onto points. I liked the stuff that Iron Man was doing. It just felt like there was a point where like my dice were giving me the key numbers that I needed, and he wasn't getting it. And
yeah, okay. I think this particular leadership can exacerbate this specific problem, because if you can't hit on the correct turns, or you get body blocked by damage and they punch you and take away your power, there are situations, or at least not necessarily their whole team, but certain members of your team can just not be as effective as they normally would be, which caters your plan. Like, completely.
Well, yeah, and it's like the leadership definitely helped, because like I think it was like opening turn, it was like Bastion did like 1 damage to Sam Wilson. And so Sam Wilson didn't get a power out of it. And so he was on 0 power.
Yeah.
So then when Zemo charges into him, he doesn't have the power to shield up. And then like Zemo gets 4 damage through on Sam and like gets the daze. And yeah, and there was like, so like stuff like that definitely like happened and mattered.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was just after the game, I didn't feel like excited to play the list. Where it was like, okay, this is functioning, but I like, it definitely made me go, I'm like, is this the leadership for me? Where I want something that gives me a little bit more to think about. I felt like it felt like good MCP in a core sense of like where we were moving characters to, and I thought I had a really interesting like Iron Man play where I wanted to kill, I wanted to get the KO on his Black Widow, and I was thinking like, ooh, it's even better if I get to push his Black Widow towards Bastion, who had kind of like run away. Like, Blue Marvel was like beating up on him, but I like fell back and then got thrown into Bucky, then sacrificed into Bucky, so Bucky got obliterated, which was fine. I felt like Bucky was, in the way the game played out, I liked Bucky in that spot. But then I was like, all right, this Iron Man turn, I roll a 4 dice into Luke Cage, hit the wild, push Luke Cage away, then have enough power to roll 6 dice into Black Widow, do like 2 damage to her, and get the push to like shove her towards Bastion for like better angles and stuff. And I just felt like I was hitting on the key things. But like part of the problem is like Directive 1 is kind of a boring card as well. Right? Like,
yes,
it was a card that could matter. He was playing Blue Marvel. We were also playing the mission where you could get defensive rerolls. So it definitely could matter, but I kept kind of going, it's actually a little hard for me to play this because I think I need the power that's on these characters.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, I don't know. It was weird because I felt like it all worked, and I felt like Bastion was good, and there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Bastion or Omega Sentinel.
Yeah.
But I just also wasn't playing them and going, oh yeah, I'm so fucking excited to do this again. So that was just a weird mental spot.
So here's a question. Do you feel like because the lists sort of dictated how it should be played, you didn't have a lot of expression?
No, like I felt like the way that the game was going, I had a lot like general movement decisions and whatnot.
Okay.
Right? Like, you know, we had a real, like, from just like a pure MCP perspective, I thought our turn 1 was very interesting because both of us had long movers. Both of us were positioned to like go after multiple objectives, and like who was grabbing which extract when, like, there was a lot of choices in the like general movement and who to attack, and like how we were kind of navigating around terrain and trying to get cover. The general MCP mechanics, the game was good. And also, just to be clear, I'm not complaining about Pat at all. The best part about the game was Pat and I joking around about everything.
Oh, yeah, I was
Pat was wonderful.
What round did the game end? Like, how did the game sort of end out, right?
I think we called it in round 4 or something, where I had already KO'd Sam. I had already KO'd Black Widow. He had 3 characters. I had mostly pivoted away from Blue Marvel. So Blue Marvel didn't have any relevant double attacks. Like, he could try to kill Bucky, but Bucky wasn't critical to anything. And,
It is Bucky.
and I was significantly ahead on points. It was something like I was way up on points. It was like 5 or 6 points ahead of him. And I still had all of my characters. I had some damage spread around, but it was just like, the chance for him to come, like, I was 1 away from winning and I had all 5 characters. And so literally if I score a single point, all I have to do is grab an extract and run away. If 1 character gets away with an extract, it's game over. And it was a pay to flip as well. So he would have had to like interact with like multiple spots and stop me from running away with anyone. So we didn't play out that turn because it was like, I'm not sure it was like possible unless I just did something absolutely ridiculously stupid.
Obviously Vices try it out a couple more times, right, against a couple different list types, and see if that varies the sort of response you feel to how it plays out. This is why I'm not quite this is why I think about Sentinels and Bastion a lot. I'm not sure how to approach this problem.
Yeah.
Because they seem not too good. That's not really the word I want to use per se. But it's like they can just casually beat things, but not necessarily the most oppressive way possible. It's like, oh, those are all things that should happen in the game. They shouldn't happen that often.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even that it felt like I did anything crazy. Like, I mean, I had some just like really good blocks. There was just some points where like Omega Sentinel
just tough enough.
I was rolling 5 defense dice, but like Omega Sentinel just was like not willing to take damage. And
5 defense, like from Enchantress, that's where you get to like double crits territory. You're like, oh, I blocked 4. You're like, yep, not happening.
I felt like she double crit on a lot of defense rolls.
Yeah, I noticed it more on 5 dice defense than I've ever noticed it before. I was like, huh.
Yeah. But yeah, like from a core MCP, like fundamental MCP was like definitely relevant in the game. But I think the problem is I didn't feel like the list presented me with enough like interesting, like thought-provoking like aspects to the list, right? Like it just kind of felt like I was playing standard MCP models. Everybody was fundamentally like good at MCP. Like everyone, like for the most part, everybody could move, right? So the list that I was playing was Omega Sentinel, Bastion, Bucky, Zemo, and Iron Man. And so like everybody in the list is just kind of fundamentally like good at MCP. But
that's a funny list.
But I didn't feel like it tickled the brain in the right way. Like when I put A Mighty Avengers on the table for the first time, I was like, oh damn. This is tickling the right spots, you know, where like using the leadership, I was like, oh my God, this is way more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
So
anyway, I think about this a little bit, like this whole like interesting inflection point. So I've talked to a couple people about Sentinels and how they feel about it, both playing against and playing with, and it's very interesting feedback I get about Affiliation. No one seems like diehard excited about it. They're just like, either this goes cool, or they're like, yeah, they're models. Yeah. Like that's a very interesting reaction, right? Very interesting reaction.
Yeah. So what it got me thinking about was, how do you end up you, as both you and the listeners and me, how do we all pick what to play, and how do we kind of zone in on like what we want to play, right? And one of the things that I've been kind of examining since game night was I've been kind of trying to like experiment with each thing that comes out, and I'm starting to wonder if that's wrong for me in like how I want to play MCP. In that, like, maybe I need to be a little bit more like a Vince, right? That has like, here is my main roster. Here is the roster that I love playing. Because it's like, Shield is fun as fuck. I can see why Vince likes it. Eye in the Sky is always fun. Like, even when it doesn't work and you have a game that you lose, like, you feel like you are making thought-provoking decisions all throughout the game, and loved, like, just how your decision making like was impacting everything. And
I think what's hard with that, like this part of the conversation, at least for me, like not forget everyone else, like just me, right, is picking one faction and like sticking to it like that would be like heart wrenching, right? To actually sit down and think what's it look like, because like I just get so like I have all my favorite friends. I just want to hang out with all of them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still tend to build dual affiliation rosters. I was really enjoying playing Apocalypse/Shield, right? Like, I was enjoying both sides of that, and I could switch back and forth. My Webs/Asgard was fun, not quite in the same way, right? But there was like a good amount of models, and the tactics cards were very interesting. Even if the leaderships were not super interesting, the models and the tactics cards were all super interesting, and so I would generally enjoy playing those. And I'm just wondering if, like, maybe I need to accept that I should approach MCP a little bit more like that and just go, you know what? I need to kind of, like, hone in and, like, make a more active mental check and go, hey, if I'm getting excited about something because of a model, should I step back for a second and just go, like, does it look like the parts are here for what like drives me to want to play another game with it, you know?
I think what's particularly going to change this conversation is what happens, you know, in a month from now.
Oh, right.
What, right? And it's going to change what these models think. So I'm just sort of I'm thinking about what is interesting to me, these models, and how I choose right now is just models I'm interested in learning about and like how they play. So right now, I'm in this like triumvirate, right? These leaders of who, like, I started with Jane because I wanted to play Jane, and now I'm talking about not playing Jane. So it's like, well, wait a second. Right? Like, why am I on this journey? Let's go back to this question. It's like, what is the
Jane's leadership is not as fun as Loki 2's leadership or Thor's leadership. They are more thought provoking. So I was wondering if you were on any of like a similar journey with me, because you seem to like pick really well, where you don't, I haven't seen you pick a faction and then like drop it and go, no, this isn't for me. And I'm like, does Danny just know what he wants? Or is it just that he's like ready to play kind of anything and just enjoy that roller coaster for as long as it is? But like, how is it that you seem like very content and happy with whatever faction you pick? And like, how do I buy that drug?
I mean, it's not entirely true, because our affiliations, I just don't feel as strongly. Like, when I played Weapon X for a while, I liked individual models in Weapon X, but like the leadership is kind of weird. Like the affiliation list is kind of janky, and I'm like, I think I like them better on newer scenarios. I think they'd be more interesting than like the death balls that we had before. What I look for, I think that's part of what I look for in affiliations and picking things out, is that I'm really looking at a couple models that I'm interested in playing and saying, okay, is it possible to make these models work? And usually take them in the same affiliation, it has some synergy, some natural things going on. It's like, okay, is it like I put another model and this works together? Or, to your point, am I just taking Zemo, Black Cat, and multiple lists? Because you look at my list construction, that certain models kind of follow along. And it's like, well, am I really just like taking certain models and building lists around them? I'm going the other way around, right? I'm building around these models and like in the guise of switching affiliations.
Guardians is one where I've always like thought, well, not always thought, but like but since MCP came out, I have liked Guardians. And I wanted to enjoy playing Guardians, and I never really enjoyed them. Every time I was trying to play them, they didn't quite click for me. And like, I've definitely like had a list in the back of my head for a while that's like, what if I like play to a concept of like, I'm going to play Star-Lord, Bill, Mind, Moondragon, and actually play like a scenario game with them and like do defensive rerolls, or like when I need a spike and like take away an activation or something, but be like, I want to play like a scenario game first and foremost and see how that goes. But I'm also like, man, every time I try to do Guardians, I regret it.
This doesn't quite.
So maybe I don't do that. Yeah. But you just like pick and just like it. Are you just zoned in on what you like, and you can cut the things out that you don't a lot easier?
Well, what I like about this process is I get to talk about lots of different models and try things out. Even if I don't believe they may work out as well as I hope they will. And I do get disappointed from time to time in certain models, right? And I'm sad. Like Elendil has made me sad. I want to believe in her. I truly do. Just explodes.
That was one of the funny things about my game with Pat is Valkyrie and Elendil like did jack shit. Like they had every opportunity and like just were not getting anything.
It's
done.
the dice
And
again. It's like a reroll, and you're like, oh, you just kind of like okay.
The more I looked at her card, the more I was like, this seems like it should do good stuff. Do I want to play this?
On paper, it looks like something should be happening.
And it was like her doing bad made me want to play her more.
Yeah. And that's like the process is like going through and something I take to heart from very early lessons is that it is good to listen to other people and get advice and feedback. But at the end of the day, you should use and weigh your own experience with things at most, because you're the one who experiences your own life, right? So that's probably your opinion you should listen to. And so I like to play through models and talk about this process because I think it helps people understand why I pick models and sort of like what am I evaluating and looking for and like walking through and having these conversations. But two, I think it is also just fun to play things that take you out of your comfort zone, because even if you don't end up loving it, like at first I wasn't quite sure if I love A-Force. I was like, I don't know, maybe Jen just dies, whatever. But I was so into Jen just face tanking things. I was like, let's just roll with it. Who cares?
Yeah.
All right. Doesn't matter. We're just gonna crush stuff. And then because when you care about something, you like find a model. Like the best is playing a model and them just surprising you and doing more work than you ever really imagined they could do. Like figuring out some like weird like interaction. You're like, oh, it's like goofy stuff. This is great, right? Let's have some fun here.
Yeah, when they do,
pull it up someone, they're like, oh,
yeah. You're
it's like this is a lot of fun.
My spidey senses are tingling.
Well, this is like me pulling out Iron Fist out of nowhere, right? And Convocation and putting him on the list because like people had forgotten about him. This is Enchantress. Like they didn't really think about this model because in terms of the meta, there is like the top third, like not top, like probably the top quarter of models are really the most played models. And then you have like the next half of models in like the bottom quarter. And so I imagine distribution generally goes for Resist the Bells, right? But I want to know where I feel the bell is at and not just assume other people can tell me where it's at because I don't know how they evaluate these models. And at least try to make it an open, honest process, right?
And that's definitely why I try to play stuff, because the more I play models, the more I feel like the people who are commenting on models that they have not played have no fucking idea what they're talking about.
It is really
I feel like
you can tell
people, like when you're playing a model and then you see like someone else tell someone to not play that model, and you're like, I can tell that you've never played that model before.
Correct. Oh, the other benefit, the absolute benefit of playing all these models and playing Affiliation out of nowhere are knowing people's rules better than they do. And people, I was like, that's not how that works. Right? I was like, that's not how models work. Like, what do you, like, you go with throw size 3. He's like, what? He's like, that's, you can't throw size 4, man. He's like, it's throwing. I was like, no, it's not.
On that note, slight derail. It's really dumb that Sam Wilson has not gotten an updated card because he's been eroded multiple times.
He's like somehow managed to get through the cracks. I don't understand.
but he doesn't have a new card. And so that like came
I know.
up in the game. Because when I went and KO'd Sam, he was like, oh, and I get the trigger. I'm like, I actually don't think you do. I'm pretty sure he did for a long time. And then at a certain point they changed it. I think something happened, but he's like, but there's no card in the errata. And I was like, yeah, I don't think they ever did a new card for him. So we had to like go to the rules forums to double check and make sure, because it's been a while since I played him as well. And it was a note. Yeah, we found it on the rules forums. Sure enough, like he, and it makes sense, right? Where you're not on the table anymore to have a leadership at the point that the KO is resolved.
The trigger would happen, yeah.
Right. And so like that makes sense, but it's annoying that someone who didn't go to the rules forum would have no way of knowing that.
Yes. There's sometimes in the bearer of bad news for people and they're like, I'm so excited this combo. I was like, I'm sorry you've been cheating.
Sorry to I am sorry to be that guy.
Yeah.
So afterwards, another conversation happened while I was at the game store, and somebody was like, there was a little bit of complaints about like the new extracts, right? The source extracts, where they were like, I thought the point of this was that there was less running away, but then I just feel like my opponents just grab my extract, and then like go away. And so there's like this, it's not actually more fighting happen, which I thought was kind of like an interesting thought, where everybody was complaining that people would run away with extracts. But that's not actually your complaint, right? This was something I deal with in the tourism industry, where when I'm listening to someone, I'm like, I want to figure out what your actual problem is. You're probably not going to tell me your problem right away. You were going to go a roundabout way, and I have to decipher it. And I think, right, like fundamentally, we're saying, I don't want people running away with extracts. Well, you actually mean it, and there's nothing wrong with this, but what you mean is, I want more action spent attacking.
Yes.
That's what you actually need. You're like, I want characters choosing to make attacks. And so that's where the new source extracts are like, they solve the problem of you're not running to the corner with an extract, but you actually probably spend more turns going after extracts and like not spending actions attacking. So it's not actually solving the real problem. It solves the thing that people were complaining about, but it doesn't solve the core thing that they actually wanted, which was more time spent attacking. That is not what the sources are creating in a lot of situations. Maybe some, but
remember the name of it? The 3-source one? Like the line?
Yeah.
And that was the issue, is basically whoever started prior would grab the first one, and if you don't immediately grab the second one, it's they've grabbed 2, and now you have to fight one. If you don't pick up the third one, now it's I have to now daze 2 characters or try to reposition them. Like Imdon comes in, it's like you're forced more on the extract because it's live, because it's on the ground and anyone can grab it.
Yeah. And so like the way the conversation was kind of like going from there was, he was like, well, what else like really wants to fight right now? And obviously he didn't want to do like the defenders list. So I was thinking about like, what are like fun lists that like very intentionally want to fight? And like, I was throwing together this concept of like, well, what could potentially go with like the Mighty Avengers and like the adding dice, right? And I just hit this point where I was kind of throwing together a roster and like potential lists and stuff that I would build. And at one point I was like, wait a second. If I play at 17 and this list is Spectrum, Sam, OG Black Widow, Zemo, and King T'Challa, that's 5 long move characters.
That's amazing.
That's
a gimmick.
I was like, that actually sounds like really fun, where there's a ton of synergy within the list, but also everyone is a long mover and like has a lot of potential to fight. I was like, oh, this could be interesting.
I do like King T. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it hard right now, is like seeing new models and be like, oh man, I got so many toys, so many options that could happen so soon. I'm so hyped, fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to like know what to like dive into right now, right? With the errata on the horizon, we could be 2 weeks out from it. We could be 5 weeks out from it. We could we don't really know.
Yes.
But
so just playing to play. In a certain model, I don't think they'll change that much, right? That would be pretty boring if they're going to. Not fundamentally restructure them. But I'm more curious about which models they do truly touch, right? Who gets the special wand?
Yeah, who gets the more significant changes, right? Who's more than just a couple of hit points.
Come on, Sid, let's go.
Yeah. But I've definitely been on at least a little bit of a journey of kind of looking at it and going, okay, what is the stuff that I know that I like playing? And then of that, what, do I want to go back and revisit the Storm leadership? Do I want to dig into Mighty Avengers more? What do I want to do? And obviously it would be real helpful to know what's coming next. But so I just I don't know. That's just been where my head's at, where I'm I don't know if there's enough joy in the Sentinel plan.
I mean, who gets joy out of playing Sentinels, right? Must be a monster.
I mean, cool looking models and fundamentally seem good at MCP.
Yes, no, but joy. How do you talk about joy in a Sentinel? Right? Not on tin bucket.
Exterminating mutants. That brings joy to a lot of people.
I don't know if that brings them joy. I guess satisfaction of a job well done, but I don't think joy is what I express talking about. One of the sense.
Yeah.
It's not Bastion. I mean, I guess Bastion would be the one having fun, right? But he
would probably
extra. Yeah.
Well, all right. So post this discussion, what do you have advice for me as a person who seems to pick factions like a god? How what would be your advice to me?
I find again, I think it's about picking a leader you like the most. Because the thing about picking affiliations,
I concur,
is that you're sort of stuck with the handful of leaders they have. So hope you like them, right? And you like their options and what you can do with them. Or there's this core character group that you truly want to play and work through. And there are core groups I do actually really enjoy and think work well in a lot of variety of situations, right? It's not that I think that there's only 4 models as it applies to anything. But if you have that, then it comes down to okay, is this about making this core work, or is it about trying to flex into other things and pulling models? Because the original point we got to here is getting excited about models coming out and then trying to play affiliations and realize you don't like the affiliations. Okay, then it's about pulling things in, right? So you kind of need a neutral base if you're pulling things in, or you're kind of randomly waiting for models that fit this niche you're playing, which isn't going to hit as often, right?
That was one thing I always thought
on doubles.
cool about
it
Guardians.
might happen
because it does seem like you could try almost anything that comes out in Guardians.
Yeah.
Right. Anything that new comes out, you're let me slot that into my Guardians list and see how I like it.
Add some rerolls, see what happens. Right. Generic.
But you have to like the core Guardian plan to try to go with that. I still want to try new stuff. I don't want to just have a set roster and be this is all that I play, because that doesn't sound super fun either.
This gets back to the Steve 1 situation. Where it's okay, we just kind of generically do Avengers because they can generically do everything. And most people can fit in or already are in the affiliation randomly, right? And they're just slotting it and working around. And the problem I have with those is that it's easier to pick the big umbrella affiliations, but it isn't necessarily more interesting to pick those affiliations.
Yeah, because there is a roster building part of it. And I think that can also be a thing. Because, I remember when Dormammu came out, and I wasn't excited about the model himself. I'm I'm not sure I want to play an 8 threat. Then I played against some, and I'm okay, well, that was kind of cool. Let me get the model, paint him up. Was really happy with my paint job. And then I was really starting to dig into lists, and I found I really fucking hated building Dormammu lists because it was just too open. It didn't feel like I had interesting decision points. I'm I play all of the best 3s and a really good 2 and a couple of 4s. And it it didn't feel like I was making interesting decisions. Whether that's true or not, I didn't feel that.
The analogy I would use, like sometimes having too many choices, like being in a sea would expect to be in a lake. It's like, yeah, it's kind of the same thing, but not quite really.
Yeah, so that's where I was kind of like started like dojoing like Mighty Avengers, and I was like, well, I definitely was having fun playing Mighty Avengers, where that was clicking in some really interesting ways, and I would definitely be down to like explore that more. But I was like kind of creating like a short list of like, all right, well, what things do I think create the most interesting situations? You know, but that's right. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it on the show.
Themes, going down to the theme level might be more interesting. Of like, do you like to be aggressive versus passive? Do you want to focus more on shenanigans and like displacements? And again, this has to be one affiliation. You can have a small roster, right? That you're kind of switching between and trying things out. I think that absolutely works too. That's why I just sort of think when I think about picking factions, I think that's really what we're getting at here. Like when I have a list of affiliations, sort of like how am I even picking any of these things, right? I always start the leaders. Every once in a while there's like a tactics card. I'm like, okay, I want to try this card, right? I want to see what happens. Is this card as cool as I think it is? And do some jokey stuff with it. And again, it mostly comes down to I'm trying to ask a question. And does my question make sense? Does it even work? Yeah. Can I refine it to something I can ask other people and see how they respond to it?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put the finger on all the parts of it because I've weirdly liked playing Criminal Syndicate with the Daredevil leadership, which defies all of my other list building stuff. But
that's because Shadow's a cool guy.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because I find Daredevil like surprisingly interesting to play. Also, their tactics cards are surprisingly more interesting than maybe like what they seem like on the surface. But yeah, I've definitely felt it playing the list where I'm like, I don't want to do this all the time. And so yeah, I don't know. It's just been something that's on my mind. So I thought it would like worthwhile to bring up while we're waiting for this errata, things to think about, because I wonder how much it applies to other people where they put like the true theme, like their favorite characters and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I do, where like I definitely want like the play style and like the way the list plays is more important to me than the characters are in it. I would love to be playing my favorite characters and have my play style, but that doesn't always happen. But I think people end up in this situation where they're like, I'm playing my favorite characters, but then they're either playing them in a way that they're not actually, the models aren't good at, or like the models that they love don't fit their play style. And so they're just getting kind of stuck in a rut where they're not super enjoying MCP because the two things don't, they're
not lining up.
Crazy cross.
Yeah. This is like an interesting dilemma to run into, because I think a lot of people fall into this trap of I want to play these models I really care about, but then run the situation of I don't like the play style these models have in the game. Because just because you like a model doesn't mean you like the play style they deliver for you in a game. That's not how that works at all, actually.
I bring it back to do you remember City of Heroes and City of Villains?
Yes.
Like the old
around.
I ran into the problem in those games, like in they eventually changed this and you had more control over the graphics, but I was struggling with like how I wanted to play the game. There wasn't something cool looking. Like the way powers looked and stuff like annoyed me. Where like this seems like the sort of thing I would enjoy playing, but then I hated it visually because of how the powers looked. For like that build.
Yes. This is like a funny thing because visuals can take you out of a medium, right? If you just can't relate to it, you can't vibe with it. It doesn't matter how good it is. If you can't emotionally connect with it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need to go into like more detail to that. I don't know how many of our listeners actually played City of Heroes. But I guess the example is like, I always thought like dark type Scrapper was like particularly cool, but their power was basically like shadow energy. And I was like, well, as soon as I do anything, like my costume is totally covered up and I'm just like a black amorphous cloud. Like, that's not cool to look at.
This goes back to your Sentinel issue. It's like, well,
Yeah.
the thing is, there's got to be a little bit of pizzazz to it or flair, because if you're just playing something for pure efficiency, you go straight to max brain, which goes back into the win all the time brain.
Yeah.
And then the question is like, is that what you actually want out of lists? Are you here to play the models for the models you want to have? Are you trying to like go through this hyper competitive mode where like, okay, I'm ruthlessly looking at models because of like certain dice advantage and typings and stuff? It's like, well, what is your goal? Let's start there, actually.
I mean, you could definitely go back and play like Sam Wilson, Voodoo, Shang-Chi, all of the best models in the game.
You could literally play those three models
like,
and like just do fine in pretty much every matchup, have like an extra model. You're like, sure. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like, I just have a consistently solid team. And sometimes I get in the mood for that. Like, I'm not going to lie. There are definitely times where I'm like, yeah, what if I just play like all of the models that feel like they're a half point above their actual threat level?
Yes. This is where I was thinking that Scarlet Witch Sam Avengers lists, and Blue Mama just fits the spot right there. And it's like, I think it's very fun to take lists and play them in different ways. To take leaderships and characters, you're like, you know, you play them in this mode, but actually there's a way to play them in hyper aggressive mode. Man just goes like full assault mode, diving in, going crazy. You're like, yeah, leadership matters, but it matters less in the situation because I'm not playing it purely for that situation. It's more of a backup plan.
Yeah, I agree. All right, my dude. Well, we did our main topic. Is there anything else you want to squeeze in before we wrap up this bad boy?
No, I think this is a good interstitial, right? The interregnum while we're thinking about things and talking
you
about
and your fancy words.
I like to read. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Pretty and smart, man. I bet you cook too. You're just everything. You are the perfect wife.
This is a good time, I think, to think about models and lists and what you're playing, because very soon you're going to have a lot of choices, and the question becomes then, why are you playing the models you're playing?
Yeah, what do you focus on, right? Like, where do you
go now when you have so many choices? Right?
Yeah,
where do you go with that?
Dude, you remember like right before WTC where I was like, holy shit, that feels like there is a gajillion. How do we even approach testing this stuff?
And that's where I want to think about like concepts and where people are going designs, and like picking these leaders is hard because I think this is going to immediately change, right? With characters changing around and how I want to play this. But this happened with Cyclops actually, is that in playing Cyclops and playing X-Men, I actually found my love for Emma. Is what really happened.
Emma seems fun to play. Like she's been
right.
I had put together a Epicom that I did not end up playing, where I refined it down to 10 models, and I was like, man, I'm actually like pretty excited about this Cyclops list.
Playing Asgard makes me respect Enchantress again.
Yep.
And be like, oh, she can do some goofy stuff. Like the 5 dice defense catches people off guard on pay to flips. Are like, oh, I don't want to pay. I was like, no, you don't. Do you?
Yeah, I mean, especially in this world, like, it feels like there's a lot of like really good reactive powers in general. So like, there's also an aspect to Emma where it's just like, I'm gonna like make you rethink your plans. You know,
which is like those are models that I find the most interesting. They force your opponent to respect them.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be overtly power. They put you in a position where your opponent's like, I did not consider this outcome.
Yeah. Emma's probably the main reason why I want to go back to X-Men, because Headmistress is a phenomenal card that you can use a lot of different ways.
It's a great card.
Like, I'm going to play it for scenario this game. I'm going to play it for offense this game, right? Like, you have a lot of different ways you can do it. And Emma plays the same way. You can switch her from, I want to like totally just murder this guy and like spender, like lash or whatever.
Brain.
Or you're just like, I'm throwing people off points and teleporting around. Like,
That's what kept people off guard, was when you would randomly go into like mini build mode and you're like, actually, I'm going to double lock and toss this character off. You're like, what? Like, we're good.
Yeah.
That's who grabs this extra rack radium.
What a world that we're in where I'm excited to play Cyclops.
Yeah.
This is partially your fault.
Yeah, Enchantress has been fun. And finding these small little models is like the best part of the whole journey. Small Enchantress.
Someone recently commented on the YouTube channel for our video after you went 5-1 with Cyclops, where you remember we had recorded with like Hyper Viper, right?
Yes, yes.
Then we did the dedicated episode where we just talked about your Cyclops experience. And they commented on that video and were like, link to the video you guys were talking about. So I linked them to the video that Vince and I did commentary on for your match. But like, I just wanted you to know that people were coming back to that. And I think it's getting referenced to people, and people are going, like, there's still, and I think everything that we talked about in that, like, is still fundamentally true.
It still works, yeah. Like, snares are different, but like, it's...
Yeah, you probably don't copy the list model for model, but like, we were never saying you should. But if you start with a core concept of Cyclops, Emma, Gambit, flavor to taste, right? Little garlic here, little X-23 there, you know, paprika,
you know. Fun stuff, yeah.
You round out that list however you want, but like, you put in Gambit and Emma, and yeah, have fun.
You just stand around. And like, playing these other models, like Gambit was also a very fun model, right? And playing X-Men. And again, you convinced me on that one, right? You should try model. That's why I was trying Scourge for a while, is that it's very easy to sort of gloss over characters. You know, like, they're like, okay, whatever. But playing them in different combinations does change their use case.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. All right. Well, I think we are ready to close out this episode, which we got in. We got in our Colin talk. We got in a little Sentinel talk. We got in a little Silver Sable talk. We got a little Cyclops in here too for our lovers out there. Little bit of everything. Little bit of everything today. All right, Danny. Well, any last words before we officially close the doors?
Keep experimenting out there.
Sounds good. Move, throw, baby. Later, nerds.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex